The lead is obvious. It's the Dallas Cowboys, who are now watching the rest of the playoffs from their couches, just like you and me. And let's start off with the way the game ended. The last play, and when I was watching that game, Rob, and I saw Dak Prescott take off, my first thought was, what? They're running? Like, what are they doing? 14 seconds left. They at the 41-yard line, the 40-yard line, and he takes off on a scripted draw. All right, they wanted the run. Now, I get it. Whatever they did, Rob, was going to have to be in the middle of the field, because you saw that formation that San Francisco was in. They had 6 players on the sidelines, like protecting the sidelines so you couldn't get out of bounds. So they had to go to the middle of the field. But to me, Rob, they should have done a quick pass. If you just look at that tape, Dalton Schultz was open right away. You would have got there quicker, and as soon as he gets inside the 30, the 28-yard line, whatever, you go down, and then you've got time. But the way the Cowboys did it, I think it was a mistake to run instead of quick pass. It was Dak ran too far, Rob. I know it's your instincts to run until they stop you, but not in this case. He ran until they made him slide, and it was too far. I'm not going to blame the official, because everybody's saying, first of all, Dak got to know you give the ball to the official, Rob. You don't just, give it to your center. All right? You give it to the official, but I'm not mad at the official. Everybody's talking about, he knocked Dak over, bumped into Dak, ran through the line. Rob, if he had not run through the line of scrimmage, he wouldn't have had a chance to get there.
The clock would have gone out.
Absolutely. If he had tried to go around the front line,
but that's coaching. You got to know that. Like, I don't know. Like, you play football, the official always spots the ball, Chris. I've been watching football for 50 years. I've never seen a player spot the football and then you have a play. I mean, have you?
Well, no. And
that's
what Dak said is interesting. What he said after the game was that they're taught and told to give the ball to the center, and then the ump comes and touches the ball, the umpire, and then sets it and all that. But here's the interesting thing, and we were talking to Michael Vick this morning on First Things First. Vic said you're always taught to give the ball to the umpire, right?
Yep.
Like you said. He said, however, quarterbacks are rarely in that position. Usually, Rob, you're throwing to a wide receiver, a tight end, maybe a running back on plays like that, and they're the ones that go and give it. So even though you've been told that and you know it in your head, it's not your instinct. So the bottom line is a few of Dak's instincts did him wrong. The instinct to run as far as you could before you had to slide because it was too far, and the instinct to give it to your center. And so bottom line is, from the Cowboys, Rob, I don't want to hear any killing of the referees. You did commit 14 penalties because you were the most penalized team in the league all season. So the blame is on the players and the coaching, and that's who should get it, not the referees.
First, I thought Joe Judge was added to the coaching staff and called that play for Dak. That's the first thing I thought. Is Joe Judge working for the Cowboys, and I don't know it?
You agree they should have thrown it? You just throw it to them.
I just didn't like that play. I think because there's a chance.
Would you have gone for the Hail Mary?
Well, I mean, maybe they felt like they couldn't at 51.
Right, they didn't want to go for two Hail Marys.
Because of the way that they had the coverage. You know what I mean? Like, they know they're going to throw it down there. The chances of it for that distance aren't very good.
Right.
So I think that I understand them trying to get closer. But the Cowboys, it's just a bunch of things. It isn't just that play. They were basically dead offensively the entire game. If it wasn't for the pick that Garoppolo threw them a gift, that gave them life, really. They were dead in the water if Garoppolo doesn't throw that pick. And
if Trent Williams isn't in motion,
Right.
not set up on that last play. Remember, they got the first down?
Yeah,
and that gave Dallas the ball. Right, right.
San Francisco, and we've seen Shanahan choke down games, Chris. I mean,
right.
At the end, we've seen him do it twice in the Super Bowl, and this was ugly. It was just an ugly finish. Motion penalties, all kinds of stuff that you just can't have when you want to ice a game. But the bottom line to me is, it's the Cowboys. Nothing has changed 26 years later. It's always, here they are. They were the favorites. They're at home. They win the division. All this other stuff. They got all the players you talk about. Oh, wow. Look at the Cowboys. They're loaded. Lamb didn't even get a ball. I mean, just like,
right.
I mean, come on, really? And then Parsons didn't have an impact, Chris. It was amazing on how bad the Cowboys were. But I'll tell you this: the disheartening thing, if you're a Cowboys fan, is not that it's one and done and you're out of the playoffs again. It's that this thing won't get fixed. I'm convinced it can't get fixed because of the guy who runs the organization, and he runs it like a mom and pop store. And ever since Jimmy Johnson left, it's the same comedy of errors. And then for them to announce basically that Mike McCarthy's sticking around. How can McCarthy?
Stephen Jones, the president, said absolutely. He's very confident. He expects McCarthy to be back.
How, Chris? Did you see all the undisciplined, the penalties, and they keep shooting themselves in the foot? They've been doing this all year. You are who we thought you were, right? They did it all year. And what did they do? They struggled against the good teams. They beat up the bad teams. They scored 50-something points. They could barely move the ball. It was embarrassing. So I don't see anything change. I think this is the norm. This is who the Cowboys are. And they'll stick by the guy who they can control, which is Mike McCarthy. I guess he's fallen in line. But that was an outrageous, horrendous performance if you're a Cowboys fan in a year where you really thought you could make a run.
Yeah, look, I don't put it all on Mike McCarthy. I'm not a champion of Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's a great coach. I mean, when he was hired, Rob, we both kind of scratched our heads like, really? So I'm not, if they were to move on, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? But I don't think like you gotta fire, like all your problems begin with him either. They were penalized, the most penalized team in the league. But, Andy Reid, his Chiefs were among the most penalized last year. Nobody knows, he thinks he's not a good coach. And Mike McCarthy's record in Green Bay, like his last several years there, they weren't among the most penalized. So I'm just saying that is not necessarily a total reflection on him. But where I agree with you, Rob, is that Jerry Jones is a problem. And my thing is, Jerry Jones, the reason he hired Mike McCarthy, we both said this, was because McCarthy's going to be fine with Jerry being Jerry. And a lot of coaches weren't. Obviously, he had his issues with Jimmy Johnson. Bill Parcells wasn't really trying to have all that mess going on. So strong coaches are going to come in there and want things to be different. That's why I never thought McCarthy would be fired. Even though you can make a case that he should, I thought, well, Jerry's going to keep him. He likes him. He tried to give him credit a few weeks ago. He lets Jerry be Jerry. But Rob, the Dallas Cowboys to me are like a soap opera that revolves around football. More than a football team, a football organization, they are a soap opera that's in a football setting. It's like a movie that's not really about basketball, but the setting is basketball. And that's how the Cowboys are. And Jerry Jones just drips drama, Rob. He makes promises, he overpromises and underdelivers. That's what it is. And I don't think this team was that good. I think they were a legitimate playoff team, like best team in the AFC least. And I said all along, Rob, if they win one playoff game, then that'll be a good season for them. And they didn't even do that, of course. But I don't think that would have been enough for fans because fans were expecting Super Bowl. Jerry Jones goes out there and says it's Super Bowl or bust. And so now everybody's expectations are raised. and he can't deliver, and that's part of the problem. So I'm with you on that. I just think it's a mess the way they're run, and until Jerry gets out of the way, they probably won't win a Super Bowl, Rob.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Things haven't changed, and it's disappointment after disappointment. How many times are you going to talk up a team and what they've accomplished? A couple of weeks ago, we've seen it twice. Earlier in the year, they were blowing people out, and everybody was like, go on the Cowboys bandwagon. Yep. Then a couple of weeks ago, who'd they blow out, score 50-something points against? Was that Washington? Who'd they beat?
I think it was Washington.
They got 50, right? Remember? Oh, look at 51. Them. Oh, my God. They're going to be go back. Right. Go listen to the analysts. Go listen. Oh, they're going to be a tough out. I wouldn't want to play the Cowboys right now. That's what I heard. I don't want to play the Cowboys. They're going to be a tough out. They got everything. The defense has come together. Look at the offense. They got so many weapons. That's all I heard. And they got run out of their own building, Chris.
I get that they're America's team, so maybe some of it is that. But, Rob, have you heard the owner of the Rams talking about it's Super Bowl or bust, talking after every game? Have you heard?
Jerry has his own radio show. Well, that tells you all you need to know.
I mean, right? Is the Tampa Bay owner, do we hear him every week?
No.
You know, I mean, whoever's going to talk for Green Bay, I mean,
they don't even have an owner.
All the Robert Kraft, I mean, he got his issues, but, you know, talking after every game ain't one of them, right? You know, I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. So it just creates too much drama. All right.